He was asked about his favorite women's basketball player. Listen to this.
Who's your favorite women's basketball player?
Caitlin Clark.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't like Paige Bueckers?
No. She's okay. I didn't see her playing in the women's NBA, so.
She just got drafted.
Number 1.
Dallas.
He used to play in Dallas, which is where Paige Bueckers plays.
A reputable basketball publication, Bleacher Report, stating that Paige Bueckers led the nation in assists twice in her college career. She has been top 15 once. She was 63rd last year when she led the nation assists. Georgia Amor, who had more assists than Paige, did not lead the nation assists as well. It is literally the media just lying. They are literally just lying.
When it comes to shaping the narrative in women's sports, one name rises above all others: Caitlin Clark. Her remarkable talent and charisma have made her a standout figure in the athletic world.
Not only is it eradicating Caitlin Clark, it's eradicating Serena Sundell. Like, if you look at Paige Bueckers' seasons, or if you look at last season, Serena Sundell averaged 0.4 assists more than Georgia Amor, but nearly 3 assists more than Paige Bueckers.
She hasn't merely made an impact, she's completely broken the mold, setting impressive records for attendance, merchandise sales, trading cards, and television ratings. Despite her groundbreaking achievements, it seems that not everyone is aware of this monumental shift in the industry.
There's another trading card that sold for an absurd amount of money. You'd have to pay $244,000 to have gotten that card.
Recently, Luka Doncic unequivocally stated that Paige Bueckers is not even close to being on the same level as Caitlin Clark. His comments left no room for doubt about their differing standings in the sport.
Let's get to Luka Doncic, who of course plays for the Lakers now after having been traded. Who's your favorite women's basketball player? Caitlin Clark. You don't like Paige Bueckers? Quote, shrugs. She's okay. Haven't seen her play in the WNBA, so, and when he sees her play in the WNBA, he won't be that impressed either.
His brutally frank comments sent shockwaves through the basketball community, igniting fierce discussions as the media rushed to fabricate misleading comparisons. Meanwhile, traditional gatekeepers in the sport attempted to undermine Caitlin's achievements, highlighting their resistance to change. However, one undeniable truth stands out amidst the chatter. The future of women's basketball is clearly in Caitlin Clark's hands. Her talent and influence are reshaping the game, making it evident that she is a key figure in elevating the sport for generations to come.
When it comes to motion, when it comes to moving the needle, we all know the one that does that in women's sports, and that is Caitlin Clark. She continues to set ridiculous numbers all over the place.
If you're a passionate fan of Caitlin Clark and are excited to see her shine next season, go ahead and comment 100% below. We want to hear from you and acknowledge your support. Your enthusiasm inspires us to continue creating content that celebrates her incredible talent and journey.
And this is from Bleacher Report, ranking the rookies by a WNBA expert. This is just lying.
Their season, she's been flirting with 4 assists. And this past season, she also led the nation in assists with 4.6 assists.
So Paige Bueckers led the nation in assists with 4.6 assists per game. She was 63rd. So when Caitlin Clark was still in college, and Caitlin was 2 entire assists ahead of second place. And Georgia Amor was 4th.
Not only do I not think Paige is going to move the needle, I don't think she's going to flutter it. I don't think it's going to vibrate slightly.
When Luka Doncic was asked who his favorite women's basketball player is, he answered without missing a beat, Caitlin Clark. There was no lengthy explanation or politically correct answer, just a straightforward and genuine response. Why Caitlin Clark? It's clear she inspires admiration and respect from many, including top male athletes.
Why hasn't Middle America given Paige Bueckers the Caitlin Clark treatment?
Paige Bueckers is woke as hell. She's going to come into the league and join the WNBA activism. She's probably not going to be embraced over that because we are sick of it.
When a reporter mentioned Paige Bueckers' name, Luka's reaction was quite revealing. He casually shrugged and replied with a disinterested, "She's okay," indicating he hadn't really watched her play in the WNBA yet. This moment was not only humorous, but also illuminating, highlighting the difference in visibility and recognition among players. It underscored Caitlin Clark's prominence and the impact she's making on the basketball scene, a testament to her talent and the attention she's garnered.
2020-21 season, when she said Paige led the NCAA in assists, it was Aleta and Caitlin was 3rd with 7.8 assists per game. Paige averaged 5 and I think she was 15.
Luka, one of the biggest global stars in basketball today, chose not to sugarcoat his feelings. Talent truly recognizes talent, and when it comes to impact, performance, and star power, Caitlin Clark shines above the rest. His candid admiration highlights her unique position in the sport, showcasing her exceptional skills and the influence she brings to women's basketball.
If you look at all these seasons, first season Paige was 15. The second season Paige played, Caitlin Clark led the NCAA in assists with 8 assists per game. Paige did not play in 22-23, and in 23-24, Caitlin Clark is 2.1 entire assists ahead of Georgia Amor, who she said led NCAA in assists.
Luka's reaction revealed a tough truth. Despite the extensive media attention surrounding Paige Bueckers, she has yet to prove herself at the professional level. While she's a prominent name from her college days, entering the WNBA presents an entirely different challenge. Luka's indifferent response spoke volumes, underscoring the reality that reputation alone does not guarantee success in the professional arena. His lack of enthusiasm highlighted the need for players to step up and demonstrate their skills on the big stage.
I thought Paige Bueckers was a star. I thought Paige Bueckers was the secondary great white hope. It didn't matter who Caitlin Clark was playing, and the game would be headline news. That is what's missing in women's college basketball this season.
Even more revealing is that those familiar with the game, players, coaches, and dedicated fans, do not anticipate Paige to make the same impact in the league that Caitlin has. The consensus among experts suggests that Caitlin's skills and performance set a different standard, making her achievements hard to match.
Basically, Wings GM conveys key difference in Paige Bueckers and Caitlin Clark's rookie season. He said the one thing when you talk about last season is that Paige won't have the benefit that Caitlin did. And this is nothing against Caitlin, but we had an Olympic break last year. So you got to see some players take a month-long break, essentially. And those rookies were coming off a grueling season in the collegiate game. They got a break and got to reset and finish strong. This draft class, which includes Paige, is not going to have that luxury. We don't have a big break where they can almost catch a second win and then push to the finish line in the second half of the season, he continued. So we have to watch this rookie class around the league about load management. It's not just our rookies. We're all going to be tuned in to load management, especially these rookies that played long into their collegiate season. I didn't really see any of the benefit that Caitlin Clark got coming into the season.
Luka's candid shrug was more than just a humorous gesture. It offered a rare, unfiltered insight into how the basketball community truly perceives these players. Caitlin Clark isn't merely better. She's a phenomenon who is already reshaping the landscape of the WNBA. In contrast, Paige still has a lot to prove. If Luka's instincts are accurate, her debut season may fall short of the groundbreaking success that some are anticipating. While Luka kept it real, certain members of the WNBA media appeared eager to fabricate a rivalry that simply isn't present.
We want to see Caitlin Clark and we want to see Paige Bueckers.
Caitlin scored more points per game, but Paige was more efficient.
Paige Bueckers has had one of the best careers in the history of women's college basketball. On paper, you can make the case that Paige Bueckers has better college career than Caitlin Clark. But this is the world of television, where you're not judged based on your accomplishments. You're not judged based on your stats. You're judged based on your drawing power. And looking at these ratings for the women's tournament, it is abundantly clear Paige Bueckers might be a star, but she's not a draw.
These two were the topic of conversation. Who's the better player?
She's not nearly the player that Caitlin Clark is.
You know, she's been really disappointing this whole tournament.
We're not creating this rivalry. We're not saying they hate each other, but they are two of the best in the game right now.
Recently, Curt Miller, a respected figure in the league, gave an interview where he awkwardly compared Paige Bueckers' impending rookie season to Caitlin Clark's. This comparison certainly left many people confused. Miller remarked that Paige won't enjoy the advantages that Caitlin reportedly had during her rookie year, as last season included an Olympic break that provided players with a month-long respite. Many found this comparison puzzling, raising questions about its relevance.
I got to be with those women up close and personal. I was in practices, I was at shoot-arounds, I was in the locker room.
That's a great experience, though.
So you was able to get a real close view of what it was like to be a WNBA player at that time.
Yeah, and it was like not glamorous at all, but I was a kid, so to me, I thought it was like the most amazing thing ever.
Right.
But when you have conversations with like Taj and stuff like that, they're like, that was a mess. It was ghetto. It was bad. It was a mess. Yeah. But we still talk about like how the league was like 6-7 years ago. We have like things like, I can't believe we was doing this. We was sharing rooms.
No, we was definitely sharing rooms. I was just telling Natalie and Tom, I was like, bro, we really was sharing rooms and you was talking in your sleep before games. Like you literally even know that. You was talking in your sleep.
You gotta leave room to get on FaceTime with their boo.
You gotta leave out the room.
Sitting in the lobby at midnight.
At first glance, that might seem like a reasonable argument. However, upon closer examination, it quickly unravels. Caitlin Clark didn't enter the WNBA fresh and recharged. She wrapped up her college career by leading Iowa to the national championship game, all while bearing the weight of immense expectations and constant media scrutiny throughout the season. Less than 2 weeks after participating in the most watched NCAA women's basketball game in history, she found herself at the WM. Just days later, she was plunged directly into a hectic training camp. No lengthy vacation, no opportunity to catch her breath. Essentially, both players faced their own unique challenges, making the comparison inadequate.
So basically, we know Natalie Esquire, a serial hater when it comes to the Caitlin Clark fan base. She's pretty much a driving force behind a lot of the drama that take place in the media.
You have other people like Sabria Whitaker. You have so many people out there, and people like this, the committee, which is, you know, a group of really, really strong women's basketball fans on Twitter. They have influence. Dawn Staley flew 2 members of the committee to South Carolina's opening game in Paris, okay?
So they're calling old guard WNBA fans the committee. These are the same people that is pushing race narratives. These are the same people that is bashing Caitlin Clark. These are the people she's talking about.
Caitlin didn't benefit from a full, leisurely training camp like many rookies this year will. Instead, she was thrust directly into the fray, tasked with rejuvenating a struggling Indiana Fever franchise while shouldering immense national expectations. Not only had she to contend with the demanding grind of professional basketball, but she also carried the hopes of an entire league that desperately needed her star power and charisma. Even in the face of significant obstacles and weariness, Caitlin flourished. She led the league in assists, shattered rookie records, and filled arenas to capacity across the nation. She didn't need a break to find success. She powered through, driven by her extraordinary talent and indomitable will. To claim that Caitlin had some sort of unfair advantage due to the Olympic break is not only misguided, but also diminishes the magnitude of her achievement. Such a suggestion is merely an excuse, failing to acknowledge the hard work, resilience, and commitment she demonstrated throughout her rookie season.
The hate in Natalie Esquire heart is so strong, LOL. She said this in 4 different ways for absolutely no reason. NBC, at Indiana Fever. We don't want her covering America's team. Natalie Esquire said only one is super problematic, emo, in my experience, and based on listening to what has been said and reported on all year, it's a common theme. I only get harassed to endure racism, receive threatening emails, DMs from one fan base. So yes, it's one. It can apply in all of sports, but there is a notable difference in one fan base with respect to the W. This tweet said, no, it's one. It's not allegedly. This is my experience, and it only comes from a specific set of fans. So yes, for me, it's one fan base. You've already heard a player say in her career she's never experienced anything like this. Stop trying to violate our experience.
There seems to be an early attempt to temper expectations for Paige Bueckers, particularly if she doesn't match the extraordinary level of performance that Caitlin Clark achieved. However, it's important to recognize that there is simply no comparison between the two in terms of their impact. Caitlin Clark has emerged as the WNBA's breakout superstar, single-handedly attracting new fans, filling arenas, and driving significant television ratings. In contrast, Paige Bueckers, despite her impressive college accolades, has yet to step onto the court for a WNBA game. When she does, her performance will be the true measure of her success, not the carefully crafted media narratives or any built-in excuses.
All they can think to do is infer, insinuate racism. Just claim racism. Ratings explode.
A lot of Caitlin Clark fans, and so many of them are not white. It's just insulting to assume that that's the case to the people that aren't white, to the Black Americans that do love Caitlin Clark.
Eaton Thomas contrasts how white Americans view the two based on stark differences in speaking out against racial injustice. Quote, perhaps it's because, unlike Clark, Bueckers has always been outspoken about issues off the court, Thomas wrote in a Guardian article. At the 2021 ESPYs, Bueckers was named the College Athlete of the Year. She used her acceptance speech to celebrate and honor Black women in particular. In Bueckers' famous ESPYs speech, she used her platform to recognize those who didn't get the same recognition as her, specifically highlighting Black women. While Black America cheered Bueckers, it seemed like mainstream white America, a demographic once viewed her as, in her words, a media darling, weren't signaling out her praises. Is it a coincidence, or maybe because her injuries have made people forget her greatness as an athlete? But she's back from injury, and now why aren't people focused on Bueckers as they were Clark last year when she was tearing up college basketball? Maybe if Bueckers had delivered a more vanilla ESPY speech, things would be different. This is a completely embarrassing article. Caitlin Clark is a worldwide phenomenon whose playing style has drawn a level of hype that hasn't been seen in basketball in a decade.
No discussion of load management or distractions. It's clear. Either you move the needle or you don't. Caitlin Clark didn't just shift it, she shattered it. Now the onus is on Paige Bueckers to demonstrate she belongs in the same conversation. Early indications suggest concerns her rookie debut game not only didn't sell out, but it also lacks the buzz that Caitlin generated. The media's attempts to compare the two are beginning to seem increasingly desperate. Caitlin earned her spotlight through sheer dominance, not through hype, and no amount of manipulation from league officials or front office members will alter that fact. While Caitlin Clark has been rewriting the rules of women's basketball, an intense struggle is taking place behind the scenes that rivals the action on the court. The so-called old guard of WNBA media figures who once held sway over discussions about the league now feel threatened by Caitlin's unprecedented impact. Instead of embracing her success, many have resorted to tactics designed to undermine her, discredit her supporters, and spread toxic narratives that do nothing but create division rather than foster unity. As the WNBA landscape evolves, it's critical to recognize both the on-court talent and the behind-the-scenes narratives shaping the future of the sport.
The second chapter of the Caitlin Clark era in the WNBA will commence soon. Clark established herself as a superstar in her rookie season with the Indiana Fever and will now lead a championship hopeful team into year 2. However, before the season begins, Clark was involved in a major news headline that featured a 6-figure price tag. Clark's edition of the 2024 Piani Prism WNBA Throwback Signatures Golden Vinyl Card has been officially sold.
One of the most vivid examples of this phenomenon is Natalie Esquire, a longtime voice in WNBA media who now finds herself at the center of controversy. Natalie has developed a reputation for fiercely criticizing Caitlin Clark and the influx of new fans she has attracted to the sport. She has repeatedly labeled Clark's supporters as problematic, even suggesting that they are primarily responsible for harassment and toxicity within the WNBA community. In doing so, Natalie inadvertently exposed a harsh reality. Much of the animosity toward Caitlin doesn't stem from her performance on the court, but rather from a fear of losing control. Through Caitlin's rise, women's basketball thrived in a smaller, more insular environment. Twitter debates often dominated discussions, with certain writers and bloggers acting as gatekeepers, deciding who received accolades and who was overlooked. However, with Caitlin Clark's meteoric ascent, everything shifted. A wave of new fans, regular sports enthusiasts, NBA fans, and casual viewers entered the scene, bringing fresh energy, diverse perspectives, and yes, new opinions. Suddenly, those gatekeepers found themselves outmatched by new voices that demanded to be heard, and they weren't pleased. Content creators such as John Liquidator and Rich Latta have further illuminated this shift. These YouTubers operate outside the traditional media framework. They do not answer to established outlets or adhere to politically correct narratives. Instead, they engage directly with fans, and their audience has responded in a tremendous way. This is a pivotal moment for the sport, as it navigates the tension between the old guard and the new wave of fans and creators that Caitlin Clark has catalyzed.
There's an Angel Reese card out there right now that's on eBay that somebody has a ridiculous price on, and it's just been sitting there forever. It's collecting dust.
YouTube channels focusing on Caitlin Clark in this new WNBA era are raking in millions of views, far surpassing the reach of traditional WNBA press. This is where the resentment originates. It's not merely about Caitlin Clark's success. It's about the disintegration of a system that once dictated who mattered in women's basketball. The situation runs even deeper, as certain media figures have attempted to frame Caitlin's success through racial lenses, arguing that her rise marginalizes black players or alters the culture of the league. They've weaponized social issues to portray Caitlin as a problem. However, when you cut through the noise, the facts speak for themselves. Caitlin Clark didn't steal anyone's spotlight. She created an entirely new one. She didn't exclude anyone. She opened doors wider than they've ever been in the WNBA ecosystem. Attendance numbers are up, viewership has skyrocketed, merchandise sales are flourishing, and sponsorships are pouring in. The pie has never been bigger, and Caitlin Clark is largely responsible for this growth. Nevertheless, instead of celebrating this landmark moment, some individuals remain fixated on tearing it down. Natalie Esquire and others like her have been exposed for clinging to outdated narratives and petty grievances. Even worse, their attempts to sow division within the fan base threaten to undermine the very progress they claim to champion. It's painfully clear at this juncture. Caitlin Clark embodies a new era of women's basketball, and her ascent terrifies those who had grown comfortable in the old one. This duality poses a significant challenge, as the sport stands on the brink of transformation, driven by new energy and a broader, more inclusive audience.
The light that I have now as a white woman who leads a Black-led sport and celebrated here, I want to show a light on Black women. They don't get the media coverage that they deserve. They've given so much to this sport and the community and society as a whole, and their value is undeniable. In the WNBA, last season, the postseason awards, 80% of the winners were Black, but they got half the coverage as the white athletes. So I think it's time for change. Sports media holds the key to storylines. Sports media and sponsors tell us who is valuable, and you have told the world that I matter today, and everyone who voted, thank you. But I think we should use this power together to also celebrate Black women.
Don't you realize these Black girls all paved the road that she's traveling, that these Black women built the WNBA, that these Black women carried women's basketball, and now all the racists love women's basketball because they're racist and they have Caitlin Clark. Just not true.
The irony is that while critics waste time nitpicking and stirring controversy, Caitlin Clark continues to put in the work and rack up victories, allowing her performance to speak volumes. Meanwhile, the old guard is increasingly distancing themselves from the very audience that could have propelled them forward. They're mired in nostalgia, while Caitlin and the new generation of fans are focused on building the future of the sport. Here's the undeniable truth. No matter how loudly critics shout or how many bitter jabs they take, they cannot halt the momentum that is already in motion. Caitlin Clark has fundamentally changed the game, and she's just getting started. At the end of the day, no amount of spin, excuses, or resentment can alter this reality. Caitlin Clark is the face of women's basketball, and she's only warming up. As Luka Doncic said without hesitation, Caitlin is the real deal. The media may continue to push narratives around players like Paige Bueckers and attempt to stoke division, but the fans recognize who is genuinely transforming the game. Old narratives are crumbling, gatekeepers are losing their influence, and the future belongs to Caitlin Clark and the new generation of fans who champion authentic talent over forced storylines. So keep your voices loud and your support unwavering. The harder they try to diminish her, the stronger she'll become. If you're standing with Caitlin Clark and looking forward to witnessing her rise in the WNBA, now is the time to celebrate her journey. If you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe. More videos are on screen now.